Scarlett, as the Biz Hippie, you help coaches own their worth. First, who are your typical clients? What is a coach? And what do they do for others?
Yeah, this is such a great question. So, I primarily work with coaches, entrepreneurs, and healers to really transform their relationship with money from the inside out. And the reason why I love doing this work with these types of people is because these are the types of people who are going against the grain of, modern day society, all these expectations of what they should be doing, how you should be living. And I think it's pretty easy to get sucked into unfulfilling jobs that don't resonate with us, that we don't like. And so, as an entrepreneur or a coach, what you're deciding to do is break free from what is not in alignment for you and really forge your own career path. And in order to do that, you have to have a really solid and strong relationship with money. Life coaching as a practice is really guiding and supporting and helping others to live their best life in a variety of different modalities. Everybody knows what is best for them. And as the coach, what you do is you ask questions and hold up this mirror for other people to make choices and aligned decisions about their lives so that they can improve situations, change their circumstances, and really create a more fulfilling, thriving, and aligned life.
You've helped so many coaches break free from that workaholic grind and actually feel supported by their work. So, what was the turning point that made you realize you needed to do the same?
Yeah, so for me in my journey, it took me a while to realize that I needed to do the same. If I'm being totally honest, I found myself going down a pretty harsh downward spiral for a couple of years. And even though I was getting all these wake up calls from myself and the people around me and just the circumstances and environments I was in, I still really didn't get the message. I used to manage restaurants, and I was working 30 hours a week managing restaurants, also getting my bachelor's degree in business management, accounting, and finance, was maintaining my 3.9 GPA. I was very much a type A perfectionist workaholic. And even though I was doing everything right on paper and had all of these successes and these boxes that I was checking off, like having $30,000 saved by the time I was 18, having no student loans or no credit card debt, and paying for college out of pocket. When I looked around at my life, I was unfulfilled. And quite frankly, I was depressed and even suicidal. I was in a toxic relationship. I was really separating and isolating myself from friends and family. I had constant migraines, and I was covered in head to toe eczema. And even like being in all of these situations where my body was screaming at me, my mind was shutting down, and I felt like a zombie living in my life, even though I would drive home at 2 a.m., driving 100 miles per hour on the highway with the radio blasting and tears streaming down my face, I still didn't realize that something was wrong. I just thought that this was normal and that this was life, until one day I was really confronted with like the prospect of dying. Like, I was really confronted with my own death in a moment, and in that moment it was really a wake up call, and I realized, oh my gosh, if I'm going to die, I don't want to die here. Like, this is not the life I want to live. And for the first time, I decided to make a choice about my life. And instead of being passive to my life and just going with this flow and not being in control of my life, to actually make a decision and a choice about my life. And that really started me on this path of recognizing that we are the ones that create our life, that it's up to us to really be in control and make decisions and make choices that are in alignment for us. And in that moment, I decided that I didn't want to wait anymore to live a life that was in alignment for me, and that instead I wanted to choose this path right now.
Wow, that's a remarkable story. I mean, and that had to be so confusing for you because you said you had $30,000 saved by the time you were 18. You know, a lot of adults don't even have that much money saved or know that they're supposed to have that much saved. And, being able to pay for college without going into debt. I mean, you were doing all the things that a good girl does, right? You were following all the rules, you were checking the boxes. where did that come from? Like those things that you needed to do, who gave you those boxes that you needed to check? And yeah, and you're right. Your body was like completely screaming out to you, something's not right here. But it had been super confusing because you were doing the quote unquote right things.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's kind of like something that a lot of people suffer with is this idea of golden handcuffs. It's like, oh, I'm making all the money. I have the good job title. I have like the house and the kids and the car and everything should be perfect. And yet I don't feel that way. So what am I doing wrong? And that's exactly what I experienced. And for me, what really ingrained this was a couple of things. One was I actually attended boarding school from the ages of 7 to 14. So I lived at school surrounded, like living in a dorm with 9 other girls for 7 years during my formative childhood years. And as a result, was surrounded by constant authority. And nobody at the school was like, super hard ass and was like, you have to be perfect. But at the same time, like, as soon as I went into that environment, I just had this notion of I need to be good. And I would, anytime I would do something wrong or even get mildly in trouble, I took it as a personal offense of not being good enough. And it would genuinely hurt me and affect me deeply. And so it was easier for me to just be, quote, perfect, to make sure I got straight A's, to make sure nobody disliked me. And it was really challenging to be in that because on the one hand, like, when I was too good, I was called a goody goody and was bullied for being like too good. But at the same time, like I needed to maintain my good stature for the authority that surrounded me. So that's one piece of that. I think the other piece is I am the younger sibling. I have an older sibling, and that has always made me a very competitive person in my nature. And me getting good grades and really like being a good student and doing things right, especially in this authority setting, was my way of getting the attention that I really desired, being the younger sibling. I was like, okay, now I'm in an environment where I can really thrive and really like I know exactly what I need to do to be successful in this environment, and that's what I'm going to go all in on doing.
Wow, so that's a really unique experience being in boarding school for those years of your life. And you're right. I mean, they are very powerful years. I have an 11-year-old and a 14-year-old. I can't imagine what it would be like for them to live those years, from 7 on up, or, surrounded by other girls, and you're all kind of learning from each other, right? I mean, you don't have, I mean, you have adults to care for you and all of that, but I bet you there's a lot of late nights where you're sitting around talking of like, this is what happened to me, this is what happened, this is what I'm feeling, is this normal? So you're all kind of growing up together. But then also I can imagine that if you're a bunch of girls, that has to get pretty competitive too, I feel like.
Yeah. Oh, it was definitely challenging. And I mean, there's a lot of great people and there was a lot of things that were great that came out of this experience, but at the same time, like young girls are mean. Like if anyone listening to this like knows, like a bunch of middle schoolers can be really mean, and especially because the school that I went to um was more for people like families that were less financially well off and had more challenges. And so it wasn't like a school for bad girls or anything like that, but it was the reason why I got into it was because I had a single mom raising 2 young kids. And so sending us to this school was a way where she could work and be able to actually go back to school and get her degree. And so it was an opportunity for us to get opportunities that we likely would not have gotten if we had gone to public school, and then for her to, live her life as a single mother. And so that being said, the types of people coming to this school were facing a lot of different challenges at home. And so taking all of that trauma and bringing that into this kind of pressure cooker of just being surrounded by like a bunch of young middle school girls, I definitely faced a lot of challenges. It really impacted my self-worth in a lot of ways and was really a catalyst for a lot of growth that I had to heal and move through and overcome in my adult life.
Were you aware when you went to the school that it was more needs based, or did you just think, "Oh, I'm going to this school. Okay, cool. This is my new journey in life."
I think I knew a little bit of both. Like, it was definitely an active choice for me to be there. If I had ever said, I don't want to be here anymore, I had the opportunity to come back home. So it was something that I did desire to do and had an active choice in. And at the same time, there was this level of, okay, like there's only 100 students in this school total. There's limited spots available. So the people that are getting into here were on a wait list and are here for some reason. This isn't like a preppy, we paid lots of money to get you in here. It's more of like a needs basis. So even, I don't know how aware I was of that impact, but it was definitely clear that, there was a reason why the people that were there were there.
Would you say, and I wonder, what was your relationship with money when you were 18? I mean, obviously you were the type A, you were, doing all of these things, checking all these boxes, but was it because, you know, you felt like there was never going to be enough money, or you had to do all of these things to set the foundation? What was your relationship with money like when you became a young woman, a young adult?
Yeah, so I would say on the one hand, just following the steps of what I should be doing. Like I was told to save money. Opened my savings account when I was 7 years old. Thanks, mom, and like learned the skills of saving money. And when I got my like first more real job at 16, I put 70% of every single paycheck away into savings. And I was pretty like stingy. What me and my friends would do for fun is go shopping at the mall for like 4 hours at a time. And yeah, I would buy stuff, but I would spend a lot of time not buying things. And so I think because I grew up not having a lot of money, there was this underlying desire to do it differently, to be responsible, to get it right. And I'm going to be the one that does it differently and breaks this pattern. And like, I know I can be successful. I know how to win a game. I know how to follow the rules. I know how to get the good grades. And so it was really motivated by this idea of what I should be doing. But it was really interesting because often people would ask me when I was saving money since I was 7, like, oh, what are you saving for? And I was like, what do you mean? I have no idea. I was just told that this is something I'm supposed to do. I didn't realize I was supposed to have an objective to my saving. And so it was kind of like playing a game to see how much can I tally and add up here because, I want to win. I want to get the high score.
But there was never an end, right? The goalpost kept moving, right? I mean, if you just kept on saving without a purpose, you're just saving and you're like, well, I'm playing this game, but you don't know when you won the game, right? It was like the game kind of seems like it could just go on forever. And that's what I was kind of going to get to with, you know, how I wonder how your relationship with money would have been different if you were home, because you mentioned this allowed your mom to work and go back to school and get her degree and do all of these things, and it probably took a lot of pressure off of your mom as well, which was wonderful that she could do these things and still you were able to get a good education, have a good experience. So I wonder how your relationship with money would have been different if like you were home and you saw it, saw kind of the struggle, or if the bill came in the mail and it kind of got swept aside, or let's not, we can't pay for this right now kind of thing. Do you think it would have been any different? Because you said your mom opened up a savings account with you when you were 7, which is awesome. But have you ever wondered how it could have been different?
Yeah, totally. And it's really hard to say because I think I was definitely influenced by my mom and the home situation in a lot of ways, even though I wasn't there all the time. But at the same time, I didn't have the same influence that I would have had being there 24/7. And so I think that it was clear to me that we were lower class and that I couldn't always have things that other people would have, So even at like some of the traditional stories and narratives that I hear with my clients, I can totally relate to. Like being lower class, seeing other girls at the school like have name brand shirts or shoes and not being able to afford things like that, seeing that as extra. And so, really, I think that my relationship with money is a pretty accurate picture of the whole situation. And it's combining both the like boarding school side of my life and also the home side of my life. And really, my mom has had to do a lot of healing in her personal growth journey and her money journey. And that has happened kind of in tandem with my growth. I actually started my personal growth journey when I was around 8 years old, when on our 3 hour car rides on the weekend to the boarding school, my mom started listening to Bill Harris tapes in the car, and he was her first coach, and she was listening to his courses. So I really started my personal growth journey from a young age because I was secondhand learning through what my mom was growing through at the time.
Yeah, you were getting the foundation built. You didn't, and your brain's interpreting it, the way an 8-year-old does, a 9-year-old does as you're listening to it. But then you can kind of see how that manifested to when you were a young adult and just saving, 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 grinding, 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 and like some of the pieces of the overall message were missing, like save with a purpose, and you know have goals and achieve them. Don't just keep on going on and holding the carrot out in front of you, so to
Yes,
speak.
exactly. And that's such like my money is an accurate reflection of my whole life, like saving and pushing the finish line out further and further. That was just my whole life too. Like, okay, when I pass this class, when I get these grades, when I get this job title, when I get this raise, then finally I'll feel different. I will have arrived. But that totally was not the case.
That's right. So you challenge the belief that making more money fixes money problems. So why doesn't making more money work?
Yeah, yeah. And I love to preface this by saying, like, having and making more money is great, but it's not step one, because it's so common that people work hard and think, like, okay, I'm stressed about money. What I'm going to do is work hard, put in more hours, make more money, and then my situation's going to be better. Then I'm going to feel different. Then this stress is going to go away. But I've seen time and time again in my work that this is not the case. You can make more and more money, and it's just going to perpetuate the same situation that you're in. As your income increases, your expenses automatically increase if you're not aware and intentional with those expenses. And so you can feel like you're still barely getting by, like you're still living paycheck to paycheck. And I've seen this with my clients. I have some clients making lots of money and feeling like they're barely getting by and are scraping by month after month. And I have clients who feel exactly the same way, who are making less money. And so I love to tell people, like, yes, making more money is great, but it doesn't matter until you've actually changed your relationship with money. Once you change your relationship with money and you have really strong financial foundations, when you bring in more money, you're able to make that money go further, and it's actually able to feel like more.
It's kind of like a bias that we create when you make it, a certain amount of money. You'll have an item in front of you and say it's 20, you're buying a t-shirt and it's $20, and it's like, oh my gosh, am I really spending $20 on the t-shirt? And then as you make more money, the t-shirt price starts to increase. You're now spending 50, $75 for a t-shirt, and it's like kind of like the recency bias. Like it doesn't feel as expensive anymore, but like you 10 years ago would have been like, are you crazy? Are you really spending $75 on a t-shirt? That's nuts. But as you make more money, your threshold for spending more money goes up.
Totally. Absolutely. I see this time and time again. And also, it's this thought of, like, oh, I'm making good money. It's okay for me to splurge. And you're more willing to splurge. But what happens is, if you're unintentional with your money and you don't really see what you're actually doing, you tend to splurge more and more and more. And your whole life just becomes a constant splurge from this idea that you have lots of money, this idea that you have more money coming in and that you can't afford it. But that's not based on the reality of your numbers.
What energetic practices have you found most effective for entrepreneurs? But really, can these energetic practices be beneficial to anyone who understand the money concept? Like, okay, I understand the splurging, I understand the emergency fund, I understand all of this basic money stuff, but they still emotionally resist it.
Yeah. And so, like, in my work that I do a combination of like tangible and intangible work with money, working with your internal relationship with money and your external relationship with money. And both of these things feed into each other. And so, first, you have to bring awareness to your current relationship with money. Your relationship with money is based on what you were taught growing up, which is so much of what we've already talked about so far. So, with my clients, I dive into what are your scarcity seeds, the scarce based beliefs that you have around money that are actually not inherently true. They were implanted within you, and that's the framework that you've built your life around, your identity around, your perspective of the world around you, and your perspective of money. So uncovering and bringing awareness to what are your scarcity seeds, your scarce based beliefs. I also dive into what are the scarcity stories, the moments in time that defined you and taught you these scarce based beliefs. For example, that moment in time where we couldn't afford the brand name jeans and I learned as a child, like, I'm not worth it, or, other beliefs that were instilled from those specific memories, uncovering what those memories are, and uncovering the scarce based selves, the different parts of you that take action and push you to take action in your life from a place rooted in scarcity, fear, and lack. First, bringing awareness to all these different aspects of your relationship with money so that you can start to unwind this pattern and this perspective that you have around money that's not inherently accurate or true.
Are your clients that are coming to you, are they saying, I don't have a good relationship with money? Or are they just saying, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a coach, I need help with my business, I need help with business growth? But then through the conversations, you're going, whoa, we need to back it up a little bit and identify some of the deep rooted money issues that you have. Like, are you bringing stuff out that people may not even be aware that they have?
Yes, definitely. And I would say it's a combination of both with my clients. Many people come to me with some awareness that they have stress about money or like scarce thoughts, and they have some level of awareness around this. And at the same time, they're trying to grow their business and they feel like, I'm doing everything right. I'm putting all my effort into this. I've even invested money into this. Like, why isn't it working? And I feel really stressed and I feel like I'm barely scraping by. Like, how could I ever fully support myself with my business? It feels so impossible and I don't know what to do. And I have found that, these two things tie together. Your relationship with money has a huge impact on the success of your business because your business is just a money machine. It's about money in and money out. So if you have a sticky relationship with money, it's really going to impact the way that you show up, the way you market, the way you sell, and people can feel it, especially when you're having a sales conversation with somebody. If you have underlying money stress or fear or lack, and you bring that onto that conversation with you, the other person's going to feel it and it's literally going to repel them away. Especially in my own business, being somebody who invested lots of money in different coaches and programs and courses, I poured a lot of time and energy into the strategy and doing it right and saying, okay, I'm taking all the steps, I'm putting in all the effort, I'm saying all the right things, and yet it's still not working. People are still saying no. I'm still not making the money that I want to be making, and I can't figure out why. And it was because of this foundational underlying relationship with money. You can say all the right things, but if you're acting from a place of fear and not enoughness in your business, you're acting as client repellent.
So are you saying, many entrepreneurs and coaches live through like a feast and famine cycle. So are you saying that, say we're in we're famining right now, I just made up a word, but we're in the famine cycle and we really need to bring on a new client. It's bills are getting tight, money's getting tight. are you saying that someone on the other side of the table or on the screen can actually feel that through our energy, that like, even though I know exactly what to say when I'm bringing on a new client, but they can feel the, I really need to bring you on right now as my client?
Absolutely. I think that definitely can show up in a sales call, even in subtle ways if you're unaware of it. And what's interesting is you can feel this way even if you're not really in a famine. Like we can just make up in our minds this idea of, I don't have money. I really need this client. I'm really desperate. And even if you are hypothetically like making good money, you could still be bringing that energy onto your sales calls. And I think there's a way that you can allow yourself to experience and feel the fear that does sometimes come up around money. And at the same time, learn to find safety within yourself, learn to find sufficiency within yourself, learn to shift your money relationship in that moment for yourself and separate that from your business and be able to stay tapped into your grounded, safe, sufficient, most abundant self in all business related things. And that's really what allows sales to happen more easily, is when you're in your confident, abundant, legit business owner energy.
So, how do we get into that confident, abundant, legit business owner energy if like the math isn't in our favor right now? How do we separate the two?
Yeah. So one is, I think, actually knowing your numbers and actually doing the math, like having a really clear picture of what's happening with your money is one of the first steps, because most people, again, are just assuming or imagining what is happening with their money, but don't have a very accurate, clear picture. And I have found from the work with my clients that getting a clear picture of what's happening with your money and getting your numbers on paper actually alleviates around 70% of the money stress, because most of your stress is rooted in the unknown, not knowing what the situation is, not knowing how bad the situation is, wondering like, when do you need to make money by, and just having it all be like up in the air and not really having a clear picture. So the first thing that you can do is know what's happening with your numbers. This also steps you into legit business owner energy, as I like to call it, because legit business owners know their numbers. All professional companies have accountants and CFOs. And so if you want to shift into that, like, I am a serious business person, you can trust me with your money, you are safe with me, managing your money is one of the most powerful ways that you can do that. So that's the first piece, and that's the tangible piece. The second piece is what I teach my clients how to do is bring awareness to your emotions, the scarcity, those three things that we talked about, the seeds, the stories, the selves. Recognize when they come up and learn how to work with these things. Instead of just like feeling the scarcity and kind of shoving it aside and hustling to make money and hoping that it goes away, it's recognizing when this fear comes to the surface, sitting with it, learning to move through and process that emotion fully so that you can come back into your grounded and abundant energy and take action in your life and in your business from that space.
How do you manage, your brand, the Biz Hippie, has a laid back vibe, right? How do you balance the chill, free spirited brand with the practical, number crunching, sometimes intimidating world of money management?
Yeah, and I mean, that's exactly what my business is. That's exactly what this work is that we've been talking about today. Is it really is a balance of, the masculine, the feminine, the internal, the external, the biz and the hippie. And I believe when you have both of these things, that's really the secret sauce that makes living your best life a reality. And especially when it comes to the idea of manifestation and like, I'm going to manifest my best life, lots of people are focused on one side. They're either all in the like woo woo, trust the universe, say a bunch of affirmations, it's all going to work out. And they're like really hard on that side, or they're totally in the like number crunching strategy, screw manifestation, and they're really hard on that side. And I have swung from both sides of this pendulum in my life multiple times. And really, when you are able to combine the advantages of both of these areas, that's when you can really be in control of your life. And same with your money. It's the same as knowing your numbers, managing your money, being in control of your money, and at the same time doing this internal and energetic work so that you can tap into your vision, tap into your most abundant self, and at the same time, like, use your money strategically to make that a reality. So it's a really delicate balance that I have been walking for my own life, and I also teach my clients how to do as well. And once you find that spot in the middle, that's where the magic happens.
So you're talking a lot about knowing the math, doing the numbers, crunching their numbers, and many coaches struggle, and many business owners in general, right, struggle with pricing their services appropriately and having confidence in their pricing. So what's your go-to strategy for helping someone own their worth, know their pricing without feeling like they're expensive?
Yes, this is such a great topic, and I love walking my clients through this process. I actually have a step-by-step formula for finding the offer pricing secret sauce, and it starts with the tangible side. So first, you have to know how much money you need to be making in order to support your business and your personal life. Now, you could do this with just an arbitrary number, and you could say, okay, I'd like to make 10K a month, for example. But if you can get really specific and clear and really know, like, okay, this is how much I need to make to support my personal life, this is how much I need to make a month to support my business, and you base it off of that number, this exercise is going to be even more powerful because it's based off of accuracy and reality. So the first is know how much you want to be making a month based on your numbers. And from there, it's just a time, energy, money exchange. It's a simple math equation. Based on the amount of money that you want to be making a month, how much time do you want to put into your business? What do you have the capacity to handle? For example, is that 5 active clients a month? Is it 10? Is it 20? Right? Like, time wise, how much capacity do you have to take on clients? And then how much energy do you have available to handle that capacity of clients? Based off of that, you'll be able to find your limit of people or find the desired amount of people or clients. And then that will give you the number that you, quote, should be charging in order to make ends meet for your current situation or for the next level vision of how much you want to be making. That's the first step. And once you have this number, the next thing that you need to do is you need to check energetically if you're aligned with that number. Because if it's an undercharge or an overcharge, it's going to affect your ability to land sales in different ways. And what's important here is, do you believe in your ability to deliver value at that level? I love to say to my clients, like, there is somebody out there willing to pay any amount for anything. So you don't have to worry if somebody's able to pay for it. You can take that thought and set it aside. What your price point is a filter system for your best clients. So if you set the expectation that, oh, nobody's going to pay for this aside, the real question is, do you believe in your ability to deliver that value? If it's an overprice and you're like, no way, I can't deliver at this value, then what's going to happen is, on the conversations, you're going to be repelling people. You're going to secretly be pushing them away because you're like, I don't want you to say yes. If you say yes, I'm terrified I can't deliver and can't get you the results. And so that's going to show up in your sales conversations and make it hard to land a sale. If you're undercharging, it's going to essentially do the same thing, because part of you doesn't want them to sign because it doesn't feel worth it to you monetarily. You're like, oh, it's really not worth the time and energy. I almost wish you don't sign up. And then if they do, what happens is you're bringing some like resentment into the coach client relationship as well, and you're unable to deliver at your highest level. So you have to find energetically, like, where's that price point that you feel aligned in delivering, and based on the number that we came up with, you can adjust the time, the energy, the number of clients, and the price point accordingly to be more in alignment with the value that you believe you can deliver. and at the same time, actively practice increasing your belief in the value that you can deliver. My recommendation is to find the just stretch number of your comfort zone of your belief in what you can deliver. And this does two things. One is it encourages you to increase the value of your services. It encourages you to show up at a higher level, to give your all to your clients, and to continue to expand and grow the value of your offer. The other thing that it does is it prevents you from quitting halfway through, and it challenges you to become the next level version of yourself. And so those are really the 3 steps that I walk my clients to find that offer that's really in alignment for you.
That makes a lot of sense, because if you feel like you're expensive, you're going to say things like, well, we can split up the payments, to make it comfortable for you, or, we can make it easy. We could, and you're undoing it, where it's like, or if you think you're right. If you think I'm kind of giving this away for free, it's like, you're not going to put as much effort into bringing on a client, and people can feel that. So that makes a lot of sense of really believing in your pricing. And you're right, you're going to find someone to pay what you're asking. And someone's going to pay it. You just then need to put yourself in front of people that will find value in your service and can afford it and are willing to make that investment. So that makes so much sense of really buying into your pricing, because you could go to someone and they could say, well, this is what you should charge, because that's what other people charge. And it might not feel right. And so your heart's not going to be into it. Your energy's not going to be right. It's funny. I went to a hairstylist one time when I first moved to where I live, and it was kind of a shock of how expensive it was to get my hair done. And I was doing research and I was looking around, and I'm like kind of comparing it to where I used it. And I'm like, man, this is going to be a pricey endeavor, considering I do this like every other month. And I'm talking to the stylist, and we were just talking about pricing. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to a coach, and I'm actually going to be raising my prices next month. She's like, and I'm doing it because they told me, based on the income of this area, this is what my pricing should be. But she's like, I would never pay this. I would never pay that much for my hair. And I never went back to her again, because it was like, well, yeah. And did I agree that it was expensive? I did. I thought it was really expensive what she was changing her pricing to. But it's like, wow, you won't even pay that much for your services. So you don't even see the value in what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that story. And it's so accurate. Like, you have to believe it for your own offer, but also a huge part of this, especially as an entrepreneur, is believing in the work in general too, which is why, investing, like as a coach, I invest in coaching because I believe in the power and the value of coaching, and the amount of money that I have invested into my own growth and my own coaching journey is a testament to my belief in this work. And that ties into your ability to land sales, because if you didn't believe in it, you wouldn't invest in it. And that's such a great example of what this is like. And it is interesting because really your price point is just a filter system for the people who are willing to pay it. But the question is, like, who are your best clients that you want to work with, and what's the filter for them? It's not inherently like, so you should always charge super high, or you should always charge super low. It's really tapping into, like, who do you want to work with? Who are your best clients? And what is the price point that's a little bit of a stretch for them, but is still within their wheelhouse? Because I also like to tell my clients as well too, especially in coaching and anything that's service-based, your price point is actually part of the value that you provide. A lot of people might feel like, I'm doing people a disservice by charging money at all, like I'm taking something from them. But when you give somebody the opportunity to invest, you're giving them the opportunity to invest in themselves and to commit to what it is they want and what is most important to them and what they value and the kind of life that they want to live. And if you don't offer a price point that's commitment worthy, people won't get the results and the transformation that they're coming to you for. Like, for example, when I first started my business, I joined a bunch of free Facebook groups and I bought a set of 100 online courses all about business for $100. So it balanced out to be $1 per course. You know how many of those courses I did? A few. You know how many of those free Facebook groups I actually went in and engaged in and did the work of? None. Zero, right? But if I'm investing 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 more in something, I'm going to show up because I'm committed. And I have to pay, I have to invest in order to commit at that higher level for myself.
For those listening who feel completely disconnected from their finances, where's the best place to start to rebuild that relationship with their money without feeling overwhelmed and discouraged?
First is to start to notice that you have a relationship with money. I think it's easy to just kind of get sucked into the day to day of life and see money as this external thing that you have to deal with that's just happening to you. But start to recognize you actually already have a relationship with money and you have some control and power over this. What this looks like is noticing, what are you willing to spend on? What are you not willing to spend on? What is it easy for you to say yes to? What are the things you say no to? When you have to spend money on something, how do you feel about it? What are the thoughts that go through your head? When you think about checking your bank account, what's the primary emotion that comes up there? What are the thoughts that come up there? And just notice, what is your financial foundation that you're standing on, and start to get a little more comfortable with your money. That could look like checking your bank account and practicing taking deep breaths and coming back into a feeling of safety. It could mean starting to shift how you spend your money, how you feel when you spend your money. And it could also look like starting to practice gratitude with your money, being grateful for the amount you have. And when you do have to spend money on something, being grateful for the fact that you actually have the money available to spend it on this thing, whether it's something you really want to be spending money on or not.